Hi, and welcome to HOA Fight Club. Today I'd like to talk about how to find evidence on a property management company and an HOA board. So when I was looking for evidence on the association and what the board had done in the past, which shouldn't really matter, but it does. So when you're looking for things you want to be able to prove, the history of what the board is doing. First of all, a board shouldn't serve more than a couple years. If a board has served more than a couple years, you should really be worried. So the board that I've had to deal with served for at least 10 to 15, if not more years. Most of the board had been appointed by the declarant. So if you go back and you read the minutes, which I did, of the history of the property that I was from, you will see how Targa Real Estate from Federal Way came in, taught the board how to implement fines, implement new rules, and be able to foreclose on people's homes with no problem. So if you want to be able to fight a property management company, you have to know their scam and their scheme of what they're going to do. So if you want to know everything, you have to go back and get the history. So what I did, I went back in and I got the minutes from 2007 up to the present, and I read every single minute, so I knew who was what, who did what, who ran the place, who was a part of everything. Because what our board did was they had probably about 10 people that served on the 5 or 6 person board, and if somebody resigned from the board or moved or sold, what they would do is they would have a person in the wing that would step up and serve. So there was never any place on the board that needed a place to be filled. So nobody could volunteer or jump up on the board ever. They always had it filled. So I knew who the players in the game were by reading the old minutes, because they listed all the old homeowners that we used to serve on the board. That was one thing I got. The other thing I got was the history of the water intrusion. So when I sued for the water intrusion, I had to prove that the board knew that there was water intrusion. Well, having all the old minutes, I had the evidence that proved that the board knew that there was water intrusion in the property and never disclosed it. I also proved that the board had been doing projects on the property without getting permits to the city. So when I went to the city of Kent, I was like, okay, they've opened up the property. You can't open up an envelope, a body, the vinyl siding. You can't open that up without a permit. Well, they had been doing it for years, and they put it all in the minutes. So the city could see that they had been doing it and had been doing it without permits and didn't care if they had been doing it. So contractors do this kind of stuff all the time. And I've gone to board meetings and have heard property managers say, it doesn't matter. They never get permits. Don't worry about it. And for them to even ask for permits, well, they don't ever get them. So don't trust your property managers, because they're not guiding you. Remember, property managers need no certification, at least in the state of Washington. So any Joe Schmo off the street can be a property manager. And these property managers are handling multi-million-dollar funds. They're handling your money. They're handling our money. They're handling our biggest investments that homeowners ever make. Think about that. They have no financial training, no banking. They're not FDIC insured, and they're handling our money. They're not FDIC insured, and they're handling our money. And they're forcing you to put our money in whatever bank they deem necessary. So when they're handling your money and the board's telling you, don't worry about it, we got it, and we won't show you where it is, yeah, I don't think I trust them too much. So think about that when you're trusting this 5-person board that's telling you you don't need to see the actual bank statements. You can just trust them. That's really kind of them to be so trustworthy, but I don't trust them. I didn't trust them at all. Why would I trust them? They had done nothing for me except for come after me and spend our money on attorneys. Well, $38,000 in attorney fees was not what I wanted to spend the money on. And I didn't think the other homeowners wanted to spend the money on that either. So when I pointed that out to the homeowners, nah, they didn't want to spend the money on that either. So that's when things fell apart for that board. So Targa Real Estate came in and trained the board how to do this. They changed the rules, made it so that the homeowners had to change their blinds in 30 days, which after some people had just spent hundreds of dollars on their blinds. The homeowners had to change their blinds or they were fined and foreclosed on, which guess what? That happened. Oh, then the same board would fine you for, having something in your garage that they didn't approve of. Well, they would just fine you and foreclose on you. This is a rogue board, and if you read the minutes, you find that out. You would see everything. This board president wrote everything in the minutes. So if you want to get evidence, find the minutes of your association, read them, go through them. Make sure you're always keeping track of the minutes. You should ask for the minutes. Make sure you're going to the board meetings. I went to the board meetings for every meeting that I could possibly go to. Now, I was afraid to record those board meetings because I was told that it was illegal. Well, in the state of Washington, a public meeting, which a city council meeting, which if they're going to be municipalities, they shouldn't they be considered an open board public meeting? So I did record those meetings because they were also recording the meeting themselves, because the cameras are always on. The security cameras are recording the same thing. So they didn't like that I was recording them. But you should always go record the meetings, do what you have to do, write notes, make sure that you're keeping notes, and make sure that you keep every single board minute, because that will tell you everything that you need to know about that board. Now, the board that just took over the association just had a new secretary, and for some reason, the board minutes changed completely. They're amazing. Actually, they were very truthful and very transparent all of a sudden. I was amazed to see the good minutes that this new secretary wrote. So if you have a good board and a good secretary, they'll be very transparent. If you don't, those minutes aren't going to tell you anything. And I would demand to go in and see all the things that you need to see, like the bank statements and you might want to ask for any properties that the association owns, which you'll be surprised. I bet you they probably own a few. I asked that question, we actually owned 4 or 5 properties in the condo units. We owned 5 at the time, I think. So ask how many you own. Ask what improvements you're paying for. Ask what contractors. You have the right to know what contracts. You have a right to know and see and have a copy of the property manager's contract, the attorney's contract, the insurance policy, the entire insurance policy, not just the certificate of insurance. You have a right to see the entire policy. You have the right to see all contracts. You have the right to see everything. So make sure that you have the right, you go in and make a copy of all those things. I made sure that I had a copy of everything. And if they want to charge you for copies, what I did, I went into the offices and I just took pictures of everything or had them sent to me electronically, because electronically doesn't cost you anything. And most of the stuff should be on their public websites that they have, these property managers. Don't trust the property managers. They're not in it for to protect you at all. They're in there to make money. That's all they care about. Target Real Estate, I can show you many things that they were doing. They were commingling funds. They were pushing money from our accounts from the Village on James Street out to other accounts. I don't even know who those accounts were. So make sure you're double checking and ask to see everything. I'll see you on the next one.